Have you ever heard of the places that maps forget? In the mist-shrouded mountains of Yamagata, there's a village like that. The locals won't talk about it much, but when they do, they whisper that it wasn't destroyed, it was erased. They say the air there is so still, even the wind is afraid to pass through. It's a place where silence has a weight, a presence. This is where our story begins, with three university friends. Harry, the serious documentarian. Thea, the endlessly curious explorer. And Ren, the nervous but enthusiastic sidekick. They ran a small horror vlog. They came to this forgotten village chasing whispers of ghost stories, laughing off the warnings of the locals as mere superstition. They were brave, they were reckless, right up until they saw the talisman. Outside an old moss-covered shrine, faded paper seals, Ofuda hung from the doors, fluttering without a breeze. They were a warning. Driven by a mix of courage and naivety, they pushed open the creaking doors. Inside, bathed in the weak glow of their flashlights, they found it. Beneath layers of dust and time, a single coffin sat in the center of the room, bound tight with vivid red silk cords. And on its lid, inked in stark black calligraphy, was a single chilling word: Zinji, which means forbidden. It was a clear and absolute command, a line that should never be crossed. But Ren, ever the skeptic, laughed it off. "It's just a prop for some old ritual," he joked, reaching out. With a quick tug, he pulled one of the ancient paper seals from the coffin. In that instant, everything changed. The air grew heavy, thick, and cold. Candles they'd lit didn't just go out. Their flames flickered backward, sucked into the wicks as if time itself was reversing. An unnatural wind blew inward, and the shadows in the room stretched and danced like living things. Then came the sound. It wasn't a creak of old wood or the scuttling of some animal. It was a soft, rhythmic thump, coming from inside the coffin. The lid began to tremble, and with a series of sharp snaps, the red cords tore apart, one by one. Harry's face, lit by his trembling flashlight, was a mask of pure, frozen fear. The thumping grew louder, closer. Thump, thump. Slowly, stiffly, it rose. It was pale, dressed in the tattered silk robes of the Qing dynasty. Its fingernails were long, curved, and black as pitch. And then its eyes clouded. Milky white snapped open. Its body was rigid, its movements unnatural. It began to hop. The legends were real. It was a Jiangshi, a hopping vampire. Ren screamed, a raw primal sound that shattered the silence. He turned and ran, stumbling out into the foggy night. But the creature was impossibly fast. Each hop closed the distance, the thudding sound echoing like a monstrous heartbeat in the dark. Thump, thump. It was the sound of his own life counting down. It landed silently right behind him. Ren turned, his face a canvas of terror, but it was already too late. The Jiangshi's mouth opened impossibly wide, and as Ren's scream died in his throat, it turned to a visible vapor, a ghostly mist pulled from his lungs. His body collapsed to the ground, a drained, lifeless husk. Back in the street. Harry grabbed Thea, pulling her behind the dusty main altar. He put a finger to his lips, his voice a frantic, trembling whisper. "Don't breathe, hold your breath. It hunts by breath." The silence that followed was a crushing weight, more terrifying than any scream. Every beat of their hearts felt like a drum. The creature appeared in the doorway, a grotesque silhouette against the moonlit fog. It hopped inside, stopping just inches from their hiding place. Its head turned slowly, its neck cracking like frozen wood. It sniffed the air, searching for the warmth of life. For a moment that stretched into an eternity, it stood there. Then, finding nothing, it leapt away into the night, vanishing back into the mist. Hours passed, remained hidden, too terrified to move, until the first faint rays of dawn crept into the shrine. The fog outside began to thin. They were exhausted, but they were alive. They thought it was over. Harry looked over at Thea to comfort her, but his words caught in his throat. Her face was unnaturally pale, her lips tinged with blue. She looked at him and offered a faint, weak smile. But her breath didn't fog in the cold morning air. Harry froze in horror. As he watched, Thea stood up, her movements stiff, wooden. Her eyes, once full of life, clouded over, turning a milky, lifeless white. She began to hop, and from the fog outside an answer came. Dozens of thumping sounds, a chorus of death echoing her own. They were the breathless ones now. Some say the village was cursed for trying to defy death. But perhaps the truth is far simpler. Death just learned how to move differently.